the chapters on early Christian atheism and early Christian religious identity, in those chapters I certainly incorporate some of the work that I've done on early Christian beliefs, devotional practices, and Christological beliefs, and so on. That material people will recognize if they know anything about earlier work. And the chapter on Christianity as a bookish religion draws upon my work on manuscripts and Codex and Nomina Sacra, and some of my recent, even relatively more recent work on early Christian books, and sort of pushing back against some of the extreme orality people trying to emphasize that early Christianity was also a very textual movement. So it incorporates some of those arguments and some of those previous works at various points. But it's not simply a rehash of what's going on. It's making a new kind of statement, trying to haul this material into making a distinguishable case. Probably the most challenging part was probably twofold. I mean, it was in every chapter it was a challenge, and in some chapters more than others. The chapter on behavior, for example, as I say, I found that I was, practically at a number of points getting into something and then saying, oh, I need to know more about that. So it was constantly, write a bit, take off a week or so to do research and catch up on something, back in, oh, I need to spend a week or so knowing that now. So it was, that was more of a kind of prolonged back and forth, writing, research thing, whereas some of the other chapters, it was basically a matter of just hauling out my notes and hauling out my files and finding a way to write the chapter up. The other demand was, because I wanted to write the book for a wider readership, I wanted to not write a technical monograph, but write a book that would be accessible to anybody who likes to read books, and particularly anybody who likes to read books about the ancient world. That was, on every page, it was okay, how to express that, and how to make the text accessible. So it was more of a writing challenge in that sense, different from, say, writing a referee journal article or a technical monograph. Two, I think, broad ones. The opening line of the book is, I say, this book addresses our cultural amnesia. And so part of what I want for modern people today who don't spend a lot of time in the ancient world and don't know much about the Roman era is to recognize how these things that I deal with in each chapter, which are in each case, as I say, cultural commonplaces for us, that they actually originated as rather odd notions or odd practices or odd stances. And so to try to give a greater sense of historical orientation for us today. And then also to make the larger historical point that early Christianity was an odd and distinctive religion and phenomenon in the Roman world, that and that in this, particularly in this pre-Constantinian period, it's really quite a remarkable thing that it survived and grew, and so people basically to appreciate that this thing, whatever one thinks of it, whether one is sort of identifies as a Christian or non-Christian or whatever, that this thing, Christianity, which has influenced Western culture so much, originated as this, in many ways, bizarre thing at the time, which nevertheless grew and succeeded.